Pat Kelly was raised in Tennessee and had an ordinary upbringing. He found that there was little to do in his hometown and went to the military after graduating high school. He worked on deck as a radio man for the U.S. Navy. He worked on riverboats and on marine ships. He served in the Vietnam War, and in total he spent 38 years working for the U.S. military. The proudest moment he had was returning home from Vietnam. He believes that everyone should serve in the military for at least 4 years, if they are capable. Pat Kelly was never injured in combat, but there was a horrifying experience where a bullet grazed his cheek and killed someone standing next to him.
I volunteered to enlist in 1965. I got to Vietnam when I was 21. So I was not a draftee, I was enlisted. Regular Navy. Since 1609.
Oh, really? Awesome.
All my ancestors moved to Tennessee after the Revolution.
What was your assignment?
I was an assault craft crew member on a river assault craft in the Mekong Delta. I was a radioman. I was an E5 radioman. So telecommunications, teletype, message centers was what I did before I went to Vietnam. When I got to Vietnam, I was a radio telephone operator on the boats, the boat crew member, and a machine gun.
3 months?
In Vallejo, California. And we were taught radio, well, not taught, but we practiced radio telephone procedures, first aid, gunnery, engine maintenance, boat handling. Everybody on the boat was expected to be able to drive the boat. And these were converted landing craft. They were 60 feet long, they were metal hulls. And the draft was about 10 feet. Our job was to embark soldiers, take them down the delta, put them on the beach, let them sweep through an area, then we go around and pick them up. And we would also supply gunnery if they needed support, because we had 20 millimeter cannon and machine guns on the boats, a lot of them. So we were the closest thing the Navy had. We were ordered to go. It was wartime. They trained us very well. They sent us to Survival, Escape, Rescue, and Evasion School for a week at Whidbey Island, Washington. We were looking back on it, we were pretty well trained to do the job that they sent us to do. This moment, coming back home. We were being in the Navy and being in that particular unit, we were all proud of each other. Everybody should do at least 4 years in the service. Is my advice I'd give to you.
Everyone?
Everyone should.
If you're physically capable, you should be in the service for 4 years.
I have a question.
You will expand your horizons. You'll mature. You'll learn to deal with other people, not in your little center of the universe here in Charlottesville. You will meet probably some of the best people you ever know in your life. You have an opportunity to get money for college. You won't have to borrow money to go to school. And usually you'll be sent to a school if you're enlisted. They'll send you to some type of school. If you go in the Navy, you can get an enlistment contract where they'll guarantee you a school that you can go to. So I was in the Navy for 38 years. I went from recruit to captain, 06, and it hasn't hurt me a bit. I got a master's degree and a bachelor's degree out of it on a GI Bill. I get a retirement check every month. I hear people in town talking about, gee, I wish I'd gone in the service, gee, I wish I'd stayed in the service. It's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Once you're on active duty for 180 days, you're considered a veteran. You have veteran benefits. You have an excellent house purchase deal through the GI Bill that you don't have anyplace else. You don't pay any points on your loan, and you'll get a reduced loan rate. So Everybody should go into service, just for the experience and the life experience you'll get. Plus, if you're a veteran, you get veterans preference when you come out to get employed. So I came out at 22 in 1969, graduated in 1973, went back in the Navy in 1974, got discharged again in 1978, and I got a commission. I was a commissioned officer from 74 to 78. So that's my advice to you guys. I had a guy killed in a wheel deck of a boat with me. Rocket went off, went through him, it eviscerated him. Everything from the top of his diaphragm, top of his rib cage, to the bottom of his lap was in his lap. And I was looking down when the round hit. I looked up, looked like somebody had thrown a handful of sparks at my face. And I was looking at that, a 50 caliber round came end over end right at my nose, and I went to one side and it went right past my ear. I had a 50 cal over my shoulder. I jumped up to man it, and he was laying where he had been standing over there. He was laying right there on the well deck on his stomach. So we couldn't treat him. He was just, that was it. So that was the worst experience I had. I was along with him on the well deck at night. Couldn't do anything for him, watched him die. It's the spaghetti.
Oh yeah, and that would have been my favorite too, the spaghetti with meatballs.
Yeah,
And
spaghetti's
the
good.
beef stew was pretty good.
What about
I've
chicken
forgotten what
nuggets?
all was in there. Which, over the years you forget.
But
The one I hated was the chopped eggs, because when you opened that up, it was green
Oh,
on top. I didn't like that one. I'd take ham and lima beans over that. Sea rations, you had sliced peaches and pears and syrup. That was real good. I liked that. There's honorable, administrative, less than honorable conditions. So this is his honorable discharge, and this guy was in a quartermaster railhead company. And he's a World War II vet, so he's got all these services on the back. He has his campaign medals, has all these decorations and awards on here. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ribbons and medals. And then he's got all these dates of service and his schools and everything else is on here. He had 6 weeks of mechanic school in 1940. His biggest threat was not Vietnam. The Army's biggest threat during the Vietnam War was the Russians coming through the Fulda Gap in Europe. So the bulk of the Army forces were in Europe, not in Vietnam. Vietnam was a sideshow. And that's another thing about the war that's so messed up. The politicians were the ones that lost the war, not the guys in the field. And don't watch the Vietnam series on PBS. It's garbage.
how long do you have to stay there?
Well, my first enlistment was 4 years, and then I had a 4-year commitment as an officer. And then I stayed in reserves for 30 years. So I had 38 years, 9 months, and 27 days total service. I was an officer of deck on a destroyer, on ships. I drove ships as a commissioned officer. Stupid communist insignia off of that hat.
His hat?
Yeah.
I went as a communist for Halloween, actually.
Party?
I went as a communist for Halloween, actually.
Okay.
So my question is,